Thursday, April 7th of 2022. May I have a roll call, please?
Scott West.
Here.
Dan Davis. Here. Craig Bowman. Here. Dave Randolph.
Here.
Jeffrey Meyer.
Here.
John Brown. Here. Cameron.
Here. Okay, may I hear a motion to approve items 1A through 1C as presented by staff?
So moved. Can I hold the, I'm sorry, is this the consent agenda? Can I hold the minutes? Just have a minor comment.
Sure.
Just the dates.
Yeah. January 6th to March.
That was my only.
I already
Thank
knew
you.
It's already covered.
That was it.
Yep,
This
we
is
got
why I love
that
you,
covered.
Mr. Randolph. Thank
With
you.
that change.
Scott West.
Yes.
Dan Davis.
Yes.
Craig Bowman.
Yes.
Dave Randolph.
Yes.
Jeffrey Meyer.
Yes.
John Brown. Yes. Cameron.
Yes. Okay, first item on the agenda then is JZ 22 PUD 120, request by Bell Land Use LLC for approval of a major amendment to PUD 120 to allow for health club uses and general services. Marcel?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Planning Commission. And this item is something that you are all familiar with. We had this conversation back in 2020, and that was when the PUD was originally approved. This is the lot as you're coming across the bridge going west, and you're looking over to your right, and you turn and go right, and then instead of going into Riverwalk, you make a left, and it's that lot right there. So it's kind of the mouth of the Riverwalk development. Beautiful piece of property. It's surrounded by single-family residential on the half portion on the west and on the north, and then it's vacant there because of street right-of-way. On the west, adjacent to V Street, is a law office, and it's a residential unit that has been retrofit for a law office. In your packet, you will see a letter from the attorney, and he is in support of the project with conditions, and those conditions have been agreed to by the applicant. We'll get to those in just a minute. So as you know, we just adopted the Unified Development Ordinance. Congratulations to you all, and thank you all for your support during this very long 3-year process. But one of the biggest changes that came out of that is originally our zoning code had use units, and now our zoning code has general categories. So it's amazing in that 5 years from now, there could be general services that we never even thought of. And there could be general retail that we've never even thought of, because the way the level of creativity that we're functioning at as a society, just there's new things created all the time. So it makes it a lot easier instead of saying if it's not listed, it's not allowed. So it's a little bit tricky because I have to decide where that goes. So general services would basically be those services that meet the basic needs of a community, but do not produce sales tax as their primary resource. So that could be a massage spa, it could be a nail salon, a dry cleaners, it could be a bank, anything that provides a service to the community, and they could have secondary retail, but it wouldn't be their primary focus. So he went ahead, Mr. Bell added general services because that's what it would equal to in the new UDO. So the amendment is asking for use unit 19, which is the old code, that's where you would have found a health club and use and general services under the new UDO. So the site plan originally had 2 lots, and then he came back and rezoned to the ROC, and at that time was looking at a restaurant use, and we did 1 lot to get all the parking, and we're back to 2 lots. So ultimately, the purchaser looks towards the future, thinking that on that back lot that they would add a second structure, maybe sell it, etc. The initial building size is around 6,000 square feet. It would be situated along B Street. I have received a couple I got an email correspondence, which I already mentioned, from the attorney, and then I also received an email from someone who had spoken up when it was going to be a restaurant use. If you continue in your packet, it talks about some of the conditions of approval from the PUD 120 JZ 20654. You keep going, talks about planning data down at the bottom. So again, requested uses, health club and general services. Uses allowed were originally, so these are still included, office and studio, eating places, adding health clubs and general services. One of the major concessions that Mr. Bell and the current potential buyer was that no medical marijuana uses would be allowed on this property. And that's something that as a staff, we kind of have that conversation with every new project that comes up because in some cases it's readily accepted and people don't mind, and in other cases they do. And so we just try to be sensitive and at least have that conversation so we know if there's a potential. And sometimes they'll tell you straight up, oh yeah, we definitely want to allow that. So it's good to know moving forward. The rest of it that you see there is kind of just laying the groundwork from what you saw during the PUD 120 process. This is a major amendment, which means that the public was given notice, and it was PUD was rezoned to ROC. That category becomes a legacy district in the new UDO. So if it stood alone without a PUD, then it would take the standards of the RTC. So we did amend the comprehensive plan map when we did that. Let's see here. Approving this PUD major amendment would allow Burn Boot Camp to build and operate a health club with an inside workout. So this is not the same thing as I think in other parts of the city near residential, they have the what are they called?
CrossFit.
Thank you, CrossFit, and they do a lot of outdoor activity. This one's a very high-end inside health club where it's a lot of cardio. So it's a different feel, a different look and feel. So there's some photos. I'm kind of lost without my page numbers. If you get past the legal notice, it talks about the PUD amendment, and here's an illustration of what one of their facilities looks like. So you could expect something similar in taste and style. Then at the next group of pages shows what the PUD amendment would look like, and then I also put in the conditions of approval on page 4 of the original PUD. So let me just go back to the PUD 120 amendment. The exhibit provided is PUD 120 as was approved by the City of Jenks Council in June of 2020, except for the uses being applied for under proposed amendment. All modifications are identified in red. So that just lets you know what was required. So on page 4, I'll just go through those conditions. Submit revised PUD matching approval comments. Include any comments regarding the PUD language, changes in the deed of dedication. So anything that we adopt tonight or that you recommend for adoption and council approves would then go into the plat deed of dedication. And that's standard procedure for our projects, especially for plats. Some communities do not include PUD because then when you amend the PUD, then the plat doesn't get amended and it gets a little bit tricky. But in our case, we generally do require that. Add landscaping adjacent to a fence, including evergreen trees to prevent sound leakage into the residential neighborhood. Protect the neighbors with screening shrubs and trees / landscaping. Screening should provide security and noise protection for a residential neighborhood. Masonry fence or viable sound buffering screening. Provide details for review. Move west of building back, setback 10 feet. Add noise protection language to PUD. No music 1 hour prior to closing. No amplified sound. Public notice for special events. And again, a lot of these were very specific to a restaurant and would not necessarily be applicable to a building that doesn't have outdoor dining, doesn't have any of these others. So that's pretty much that. When you get to page 5, it shows where Mr. Bell has added use unit 19 and general services, as we spoke about in the UDO. And then he will need to include the language where it specifically calls out that medical marijuana is a prohibited use. This was the original, on page 13 was the original plat when it was going to be a restaurant use. So we will count the, that was the original plat as one lot, one block, Fiddler Acre. Exhibit C shows the aerial view. Exhibit D is a photograph. So these are all original exhibits. The letter that I was speaking of from Mr. Landreth and the law firm that is his, that he represents, is included. So you've had a chance to look at that. The new plat is following that. So you'll see that now it's the same general outline, the same setbacks, but it has one line drawn down the middle. And then you see on the next page, the site plan. Thank you, Brandon. And it shows the lot, the parcel adjacent to B Street, and that would be the fitness facility. And then you have the parcel in the back and with a potential structure later on. And that is all that I have. I know I asked the applicant already. They do not have plans for lot 2, but they do have plans to immediately begin working towards getting the fitness facility built on lot 1.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners?
With some trepidation.
Just a quick question on page 5, where we had the definitions on the use unit 19. Enclosed structure, does our definition for enclosed structure exclude or enclosed building exclude overhead doors that can be raised? Would there be any plans for overhead doors being lifted?
In this particular gym, there are no overhead doors.
Just a question on the site plan. I remember when this came up before, there was some discussion about sidewalks, and I don't know if it's too early yet or if they're showing. I just don't see any on here. And I'm not saying that
Sidewalk was put in by the city already.
Okay.
Yeah, they are required.
Yeah. Okay, but also along Riverwalk
Yes.
Terrace too, because there's probably going to be
Yes.
pedestrian traffic to Riverwalk. Okay.
Thank you. I'll make a note of that too.
Marcy, the original PUD talked about like a cypress themed landscape,
Right.
tree heavy. And so I guess my question is, when I look at the site plan, similar to Commissioner Randolph, that may be a little bit early, but what type of in parking lot trees will be required? And what, I see the sound kind of evergreens along the perimeter, but what about the rest of the landscaping?
We have robust landscape standards
Okay.
now in the UDO, so they would have to meet that. And I would say as part of your motion to really think about if the other conditions are applicable to this project. And I apologize, I should have thought through that a little bit more before I made all my recommendations. Because if there's no outside noise, and it really, those conditions really were geared towards a restaurant use.
Yes.
And so I think if that second lot ever became a restaurant, then those landscape conditions and screening should be required.
Okay.
But if that second lot is not, then maybe those are waived in lieu of the standards in the UDO.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Does the applicant wish to say anything about this agenda item? If not, go ahead, Sister.
I'm not gonna say much, Robert Bell, 1011 West G Street. And the office development was approved originally on the site. It didn't have the criteria that the restaurant had. The restaurant criteria was show-stopping for that group. And so this is back to a general use that doesn't have the issues or the sound issues. So, and that's all I'll say, unless the public has a statement that I need to respond to.
And a restaurant use is not a general services use.
Okay.
That a restaurant would be specific, would require the, all of those things be implemented if a restaurant came in there. So we're not restricting restaurant use, but I'm saying if it's if it's a gym, a health club, and an office, then I think that those restrictions are too burdensome.
At this point, I'll open the floor to the audience. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak on behalf or against this agenda item? You're welcome to come forward. Give us your name and address.
Hi, I'm Barb Landreth. I'm Lloyd Landreth's wife, and I'm a co-owner of the law firm next door. I appreciate you agreeing to the no medical marijuana. One of the things I might want to caution you on is that if the state of Oklahoma ever does legalize marijuana in general, maybe limiting it to medical marijuana could be broadened to marijuana in general, or other maybe not hallucinogenic drugs, but something to that effect. Because I know that there are continuing attempts to bring general marijuana use to the state. I think the other thing that my husband is concerned about, and we've talked to Robert about this, is just that the parking, our parking area is adjacent to his. And so we want to make sure that people aren't using our parking structure because there would be overflow. And I know that most health clubs that I've been to, and I've been to CrossFit and a number of other ones, they start at 5 in the morning and they finish at 9 at night. So it is pretty ongoing that there would be people parking there all the time. So I would want to make sure that there was some barrier of some sort so that they weren't parking in our parking lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Some of you, I'm sure, remember me from before, but this does sound like a little bit better than a restaurant, but I think it's
I'm
still.
sorry, we need to hear your name and
I'm
address.
sorry, I'm a little nervous.
It's all right.
I'm Marie Olson, and I live on the north side of that lot and on the cul-de-sac right there. So anyway, and I've lived there since 1986, and I know things have changed a lot around me, the Riverwalk and all that. And I'm not against progress. I just want to be quiet at night so everybody can sleep, basically, and not have a problem there. I was listening carefully, and I disagree that we don't still need a masonry wall because there'll still be cars coming in and out, all night, probably into the evening. And, fumes and so forth, lights, headlights. When we did this before, when we were talking about a restaurant, we had said an 8-foot masonry wall on 2 sides. The other was no amplified sound outside, which probably does not apply now, hopefully. So that's good. The types of lighting, if there's any lighting, is there a parking lot behind us that be on our side closer to our houses?
All lighting for parking lots has to be shielded to protect the neighborhood.
Okay, we'll keep that then at least. And then I don't know if they have an outside dumpster, but they could still have one. Could it be located on the east side?
Yeah, we would deal with that. I think they show it up there on the east side next to
Okay, I
the.
can't see, I just had cataracts.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I wasn't able to see those. So-
It is located on the site plan away from the neighborhood.
Okay, and that will still be that way, okay. The other thing we had discussed was just the fact they're gonna be building and paving and stuff that would change the water. We already have an extreme water problem there on the cul-de-sac. It's a swimming pool every time it rains. And
They have to meet all the engineering criteria that goes along with plating.
okay.
And our city engineer walks them through that process and does all of that, checks all of that. It's not a part of the planning process. It's part of the development process, but it's not part of our discussion this evening.
Okay. The other thing was somebody had said that during the construction that they would not use stamping, they would use rolling, so it wouldn't shake the foundations of people's houses or whatever, you know. I didn't come up with that, but I understand why they asked for that.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that should still apply. But I guess the major thing that I heard that is bothering me is the fact that we can't have the masonry shielding from the sound, because there will be parking there, or they'll put some other business in the back, or it looks, I can't see very good, but it looks like if they do build the second half, that it would be almost right up against.
Which would act as a masonry wall.
Pardon?
That would act as a masonry wall if they put the building adjacent where they are showing it.
Mhm.
It now is a masonry wall. It's going to be more than 8 feet at that point, but you would definitely be shielded from sound and
Okay.
everything. If that
So
building is built,
what are you thinking? Then just the regular fence around it, or?
that's correct. There are new standards in the UDO which require specific spacing, and it tells. So let me see if I can find it really quickly. So it tells you how far it has to be set back, and it tells you what you have to put in there. So for a service lot adjacent to single family residential, that is category C. So the transition area for category C is you have to be at least 15 feet. You have to have a minimum wall or fence of 6 feet. You have to have an understory tree every 4 feet. You have to have a canopy tree every 4 feet, and native shrubs and grasses every 25 feet. Or 25, sorry.
So you're saying there'll be 15 feet between the fence and the edge of the parking lot, for example?
Yes.
Okay. I did not know that. That helps some. Why could we not have an 8-foot?
It
You
is.
can see right over a 6-foot. You know,
Sure.
It's like people could.
That's why
back
they're
there.
planting trees.
But the trees are gonna take a while to grow, and it's not gonna be a solid hedge.
Right.
And I don't know what this camp is, but it could involve children or teenagers or people roaming around on that property.
Probably no more than what already roam around.
That is a problem already. Yeah, I'm just saying we don't wanna add to that. I just think we need a little bit more privacy. than
I will
we're
not
offering.
recommend an 8-foot masonry fence. I will not. Not for this use.
Okay. Well, I just want you to know that we know that they're gonna build something there.
Yes.
We're not stupid, you know, it's not gonna be residential again. But just that my concerns are still about the noise, especially late at night, if there are cars in and out and stuff. Bright lights and signs, and the water, and, I just wonder what will happen if this business vacates and somebody else comes in. It might not be quite as good of a nice of a thing, you know, whatever. I don't understand what the general services is, what all that could even be, you know.
Hair salon, nail salon, barber shop, dry cleaners, a bank. It's uses and services provided to the community that do not generally produce retail sales tax as their primary source. It's just a service.
So they couldn't try another restaurant without having another meeting or something?
They can, and there are conditions for a restaurant.
Okay. Well, the only thing I wish is that you would please try a little harder to screen our yards with a little bit taller fence at least. Thank you.
The planning commission can make their recommendation. They don't have to take my recommendation, but staff will not recommend additional screening for an office type or general services use.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Nell Hall, 717 East E Avenue, and I'm in that cul-de-sac. And I can tell you that the sound is an issue with just what's going on right now. I mean, I can hear, like I said, I can hear everything going on at Louis. Somebody's sitting out there, I can hear the conversation from my front yard. Not only that, but since there's been a bar a few blocks away in the other direction, across Main Street, that has an upstairs rooftop bar. I can hear all the music and everything, so it doesn't make it for a quiet neighborhood. I mean, it just doesn't. And the safety factor, if they start building up front, why can't they go ahead and put this barrier in the back before they start doing that? Because it's gonna cause a lot of issues. And we do already have people walking in and out, and we are concerned for our safety. And we know that we're not the most expensive houses in Jenks. But the fact of the matter is, we've continued to come up here and say, yes, we truly know they want to build something there. We don't have a problem with that. We just want to feel safe in our own neighborhood, and we would like to have the noise level at a noise level. And I explained this at several other meetings, that at least Section 8 housing gets a noise level that is lower than what we have right now. So all of this building and all is just great, but I mean, several places have been built in Jenks that haven't lasted, as Marie said, and after that, we do concern ourselves about having a building that's there that doesn't have anything in it, or for a long time it takes to get rented, and then it somehow doesn't work out. It's not the fact that we don't want progress, that's not it, but we just want to feel protected in our neighborhood. And I mean, besides the water problem and all that, every time we say that, if they don't build in the back part of the lot, they build in the front part, what's gonna keep us from flooding back there again, even more than what we already do? I mean, I don't think we're asking unreasonable things. I think we're just trying to get along and say, I think it's wonderful that you don't want to put a marijuana store there. I mean, I'm thrilled for that, because I don't think we need any more Jenks. I really don't. And considering the fact there's already a couple other health clubs in Jenks, I don't know why they want to put another one there. But I mean, even the restaurant issue was fine as long as there was not exterior noise, as long as we had some protection, as long as the smell wasn't around, and as long as there was some issue fixed with that water drainage. Because unfortunately, our cul-de-sac fills up with water every time it rains.
Right, we heard that.
So,
Okay, thank you.
these are just the issues. And we just, that's all we want is, we don't care, we do care what gets put in there, but we just want those issues addressed. And we know if the construction starts, there's gonna be a lot of dust, a lot of noise, a lot of extra stuff going on, and we know that happens. That's why we ask, can't we just get some petition up there so that we don't have to deal with that, at least that? I mean, was one of the things I kept saying, well, if they want to build it, fine, but at least block us off first and then start building. And that's, that I don't think is unreasonable.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I have a point of order?
Yes, please, sorry.
Two things. I forgot to tell everyone in the beginning, we tried to lay out the ground rules for speaking at a public hearing, and you have 3 minutes, and I apologize, I didn't make that statement. Secondly, our rules apply to every project, regardless of the, let me see if I can say this correctly, regardless of the value of the surrounding properties. So if your house is 200 million, 2 million, or $79,000, the same rules apply. Their $200,000 homes, $2 million homes don't get any different treatment. So to imply that you get different rules or standards because of a different value is not accurate. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. Everybody gets the same rules. And then try to keep it to 3 minutes, please.
Okay. The applicant would like to respond?
Yeah, I there was some
3
things
minutes.
that were said that I need to respond back to real quick. One, in the PUD, whether it's office use, we put an 8-foot wood fence on those residential boundaries, so that's in place in the PUD. Also, we are in agreement with in fact, I called the city 2 weeks ago and said, put in, before Landers' letter, and I said, put in no marijuana, so we were in agreement with that at that point. The stamper on the is a part of the PUD already, and we agree to that. The Lander parking lot in the PUD, there's a barrier that is required already, and so that's in the PUD. And the stormwater, though it's not a part of this program, we're in agreement that it can be approved by putting a stopper to make sure that that water doesn't flow back once it fills into that detention facility on the Riverwalk area. So that will.
Mr. Bell,
improve
we don't have
that.
to talk about,
We don't need to talk about that, so.
this is just about uses.
And if you, unless you have any questions of me.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
Are we done with, we never asked if anybody else wanted to speak.
Oh, does anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Oh, I'm sorry. Keep in mind the 3-minute time, please.
I just have some questions.
Okay.
My name's Aaron Morgan, and I live at 404 West B, and I have a home down in this area, that's this area. I'd like to just ask, is this a build-to-suit situation? Are we building to suit for burn boot camp? And if so, I think that's an important thing, because we never see the shrubbery. We never see any of the things that are promised. It's never there. We're always talking about this without knowing what is going on. Is it a build-to-suit situation? That's my question.
The health club is purchasing the property to build their health club.
So it is a sale. They're
Yes.
buying this property. Are they buying the back of the property?
The whole lot,
They're buying the whole lot.
yes.
Okay. Are the restrictions on the back part universal, or are they restricted, or what?
The spaces, the separations, that's what I'm looking for, apply whether the second structure is built or not. So the 8-foot fence, et cetera, the trees and landscaping have to be put in at the beginning.
How about the usage? What the person that's gonna operate it, the operation of the business, are they restricted in any way? Like you mentioned, the massage parlor, is that gonna be a massage parlor, is it gonna be a
I
fireworks
cannot
stand?
speak to the second structure, I can only speak to the structure adjacent to B
I
Street.
think that's important, that we can't speak to the second structure.
It just
for
doesn't work
people
like
live
that.
around it.
Sure, I understand.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on this agenda item? If not, I'll close the floor. Back to the commissioners. Any other questions or comments?
I just had a clarification. So in the initial project, the perimeter fence will be constructed around the whole lot. Is that the way I understood it?
It's required on the north and west side, but not adjacent to
Yeah.
the lawyer's office.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I'm sensitive. First of all, thank you everyone for speaking. It's very helpful. Appreciate you coming tonight. We are sensitive to noise and neighborhoods nearby, which is why last time around when this was a restaurant, the commission voted on a large masonry wall to help shield that. I'm still sensitive to those concerns, but this use is very different in my mind, being an indoor, facility. So between the trees and an 8-foot fence, that seems reasonable to me. So, it's always nice to get more, but there has to be a balance in there. So, I'd actually sort of chewed on the masonry wall requirement or something shorter, but it seems like an 8-foot wall with trees and that sort of thing does provide a noise buffer, and there won't be nearly as much outdoor activity. So, to me, that seems like a fair compromise, but here's what the rest of the commission thinks. Thanks.
Anyone else? If not, do I hear a motion? Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, and make sure I get the right one. Is it JZ 22 PUD 120?
Yes.
Second. I apologize, I missed that.
Leon, motion.
No, the second.
John Brown.
John, okay. Scott West?
Yes.
Leon Davis?
Yes.
Craig Bowman?
Yes.
Dave Randolph?
Yes.
Jeffrey Meyer?
Yes.
John Brown? Yes. Cameron?
Yes. Next on the item on the agenda is comprehensive plan amendments. This is the discussion and recommendation on quarterly amendment request PA 22 through 24 to the comprehensive plan land use map to better align areas with long-term development plans for 6 areas in Jenks, and there will be 8 public notices that we'll be voting on. Marcia?
Is there 8?
No, on that it says 8.
Oh.
2020, I'm sorry, no, it's only 4. 4 or 6.
I will, so if at any point you want to pull one of them from your motion and vote on it separately, you can, kind of like we do consent, or you can say, you can phrase your motion to say, I approve PA 22, 21 through 23, excluding 24 or whatever. I'm just letting you know in advance that if you have some current concerns or something, you can amend the recommendation to support that. So with that being said, PA 2220, and again, we put up signs because that's what, when we adopted the comprehensive plan, that was the process that we went through, or that we adopted for notification. State statute does not require any type of notification for a comprehensive plan amendment. We felt like in order to be more transparent that we should. And I have received a couple of phone calls on a couple of different properties. This one is mostly people were just very curious. It's it's on 141st and east of Elm, or no, on Elm, east of Elm and north of 141st. So originally, when we were going through the comprehensive plan, you may remember it was slated for single family, and we came back and felt like, well, if there was ever a bridge, blah, 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 just kind of thought through all the different potential aspects. Maybe this would be better for local commercial. There is someone interested in purchasing it, and they are interested in using it as single family residential, excluding that hard corner of 5-acre hard corner. I don't have any problem with it. I think it's, I'm sure we'll get a bridge some decade. I don't know when. But in the meantime, I don't have any problem with that being single family residential. So the request would be for local commercial to be changed to medium intensity single family residential. So that's PA 2220. PA 2221 is the general location this is for 5 Oaks. And we've talked about this at least 2 times since I've been here. The whole crew's here tonight. Almost, we're missing one. So this is, this is originally was a park, a theme park decades ago, and it was slated in the comprehensive plan as parks and open space. It's still zoned agriculture. The family, as you know, when we made the amendment and I said, hey, let's actually carve out what you're using for 5 Oaks and let's let them do their single family residential. And then they had always planned in their specific use permit to allow single family development along the east side. So we're at that phase. And the request is low intensity single family residential. So that's the area. If you remember, Brandon, can you kind of highlight where the actual family home will be or is? Have y'all built it yet? Working on the family home?
Working on.
Okay.
Where is their home?
This is on 121st Street, south on 121st. And so they have a lot of great ideas and plans. This is just step 1 to kind of, well, this is like step 3 since I've been here 2 years. So we're slowly understanding what their vision and goals are and helping them to get there. So this is all private land, has been for a long time. The Emmel family has run the 5 Oaks for a very long time. Beautiful facility, and this is a request to change it from parks and open space to low intensity single family residential. And I'm sure sometime in the very near future, you will have an application for some type of plat and rezoning. PA 2222, the general location is 121st and Highway 75. This is a portion of land that we would absolutely positively love to be all big box commercial, bringing in all the tax dollars that the city could possibly get. Sorry, we don't want that. No, we do. But it's not really a strong reality that would develop all the way back that far. On the map, it doesn't look like that much land, but it actually is very deep. So we had originally said, hey, instead of multifamily, what do you think about business park? And ad valorem wise, probably, I don't know, you might end up better off, the schools might end up better off, Jeff? If you have a business office or a multifamily ad valorem, what brings in the most? Not that it matters, just curious. So anyway, I know for sure that the two parcels, the yellow parcel and the blue parcel, that you see on the map that have the brown square around them, the owners of those parcels have spoken to us and said, hey, we'd really like to do multifamily. I said, hey, why don't you do townhomes? So I don't know what they'll do, but I went ahead and recommended multifamily. If you're going to have some multifamily, I think that is a good area to do it. And then the third parcel, which is all the way to the east there, that's highlighted and looks like a dark brown color. That one was originally all regional commercial. So again, we would love to have Walmart across the street from Walmart, but it's just not going to happen. We do know that someone has looked at it. I have no idea. I haven't heard back from them, but they said that if they developed anything commercial-wise, they would be interested in doing multifamily north of their commercial because they also need the rooftops to drive the commercial revenue. So that was the request there. So all three of those parcels I am asking to change from regional commercial, business park, and medium intensity single family to multifamily. PA 2223 is mid-mile between 131st and 141st and east of Peoria or Elm. This one is zoned industrial already. It has previously had industrial uses on it. When we were updating the comprehensive plan, we created industrial medium as a legacy district. So no, that is not, is it? It is. Industrial medium is a legacy district and it has its own uses. So it's very limited. One of the things that you could do here in industrial is, what is it called? Storage. Yeah, self-storage. So anyway, this has a very high load of electrical power that goes to the site. So as a buyer, someone's come in a couple of times and said, I'd like to buy this. I'd like to take advantage of the high electrical load. So they're looking at purchasing it. It is zoned. I am personally recommending that we change it to industrial. And the only reason is I just like my map to line up with the uses. And from the price of the land and the amount of electricity that's going to it, it probably will always be industrial. So I'm recommending if we don't change it, they'll still be able to do it. Like it doesn't prevent them from doing it. I just personally did it because I was like, well, if they're going to do industrial, I'd rather it look like industrial. So I am the one who proposed this one because I do believe that there will be some industrial use on that property. PA 2224 is, we have two different requests. So number one that you can see down at the bottom, that was all regional commercial. And again, this is along Union. It makes sense. It's near Highway 75. The problem is we don't have infrastructure in that area. And so the gentleman who owned the 10 acres, can you show the next slide? So the 10 acres, the large parcel that is about half and half marked out, that's all red, came in multiple times, couldn't really get it going, talked to Tulsa, talked to Creek County, and just tried everything possible to get to the next step. And the parcel has been sold, and it's a family that has purchased it, and all of them want to live near each other. So they're retaining the commercial, they want to rezone to commercial adjacent to Union. In fact, they turned in an application, so you'll see it next month. And then they're going to build their homes in the back. And they are, one of the brothers, I believe, already owns one of the homes adjacent to 91st Street. So I went ahead and said, hey, let's go ahead and do these single family structures. If they come back and want to sell their land for commercial, we can adjust it at that time. But I did notch out, so in the notice, it was a full square, and I notched out that third one. So if you're going from east to west, I notched out the third one. They did call and said that they preferred not to be included. They wanted to stay commercial. So I left them commercial. Did I make that clear, or is it confusing?
Third one to the east?
To the west, the third one to the west, Brandon. No. Right there.
Is that 91st Street?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 3 residential lots on the far east adjacent to 91st, and then half of the other one. And it won't be a perfect line for the project that they want to do, but it's fine. It just gets the idea. They want to keep that frontage, and they will come back. They'll rezone partial commercial and partial residential. The second one that was on this notice is a property that is currently identified as multifamily, and we are changing it to business park. It's never been regional commercial because of access issues off of Highway 75. And we kind of just thought, well, let's swap out this multifamily, put it down there adjacent to 121st, and then put the business park area up north of 111th.
I think it's the northeast corner, though.
Did I say it wrong on my
We
thing?
have it northwest corner.
You're certainly right. Thank you. I'll correct that before city council. The next information is just the general information that you would find in Horizon Jenks. And on staff comments, PA 22 through 20 is 141st and M approved to match the previous land use. So that is going to medium single family residential. PA 2122 is Five Oaks property, and that's to better align with their long-term vision, and that would be low intensity single family. And I have a correction because I flipped the numbers with the addresses. So number 3 would actually be PA 23 by the text. So this is the mid-mile property between 131st and 141st and M. And this is the one that is currently zoned industrial. And I think we'll go to an industrial use. And for me personally, I just wanted to match it up. It's not necessary. They can still do what they want without the plan alignment. So if you don't feel comfortable with it, that's fine too. PA 2222 is 121st and Highway 75. And that is to allow for multifamily residential. Let's see, PA 2224.1, and that was where we would allow for single family residential. So the requested plan is medium intensity, and it was previously regional commercial. And PA 24.2, oops, here it is, the address, sorry. So this is 91st and Union was 0.1, and then the second one is the northeast corner of Highway 75 and 111th, and we're asking for business park. There was one more I wanted to do, but we'll do it another time because I forgot before I got my staff report finished.
Okay.
And it was another clarification because we've got single family residential in a local commercial zone, or not a zone, but a land use. That is it. Sorry, it was kind of wordy.
Questions from the commissioners? Questions or comments from the commissioners?
Just 2 quick questions on page 3 of 8 on 2222. So it's just the box on the illustration. It's not actually adjacent to Union that's in question.
It is not.
Okay.
It's just the middle parcels there.
Okay, just that okay.
Is that what you were asking me earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, and that's fine, and that does come up adjacent then to an area that is residential.
Yes.
On the west side.
Yeah.
that makes sense. Second question I had, and I almost hate to even ask it, but I will ask it, on the 2221, the water feature that is on that property, and it may be too preliminary to ask this, but will, developing this as residential, will that water be filled in? Does that bring in any questions on elimination of waterfowl?
It's my understanding that Emil family will be protecting their water resource, and that any development they have will be around it or adjacent to it. It's actually part of their long-term, like, it's part of the beauty of the amenity.
You're not gonna lose a pond, I love that thing.
What would Randy do? Fish. Any other questions or comments?
Can I ask you about 22, 23? So, I mean, it makes sense to match up the plan with what's actually going on. I agree with that, but would this create new uses that they could do if we would change this? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea of the plan for industrial uses was they're grandfathered in, but we didn't want to create, kind of like a sentence in there. So,
yeah.
Okay, that's my question.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would be different if this was zoned single-family residential, and someone just said, hey, there's a lot of electricity there, let's change this to industrial. That's a whole different conversation, but this is they have uses by right already.
Right.
It's already zoned. It's already, so that's what I said, they can do whatever they want right now anyway, without this plan amendment. I just happen to like it to match.
Within the existing use, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Marcia, do you mind walking through the second part of
Sure.
2224,
Yep.
the business park?
Yes.
So that was originally identified as multi-family
Correct.
housing, and then the location was identified as not beneficial for multifamily.
It was just, we thought we would swap that section since we were putting more multifamily across the street and at 121st. So we just traded some of that land area that we had dedicated as business park and said, let's put that over here and let's move multifamily over there.
Where was that originally?
This?
Yeah.
We're saying
Where'd
like
you-
this right here is
Got it.
business park, and so we flipped and put multifamily here and put business park up there.
Okay.
Would you rather have multifamily?
No, I was just trying to understand the background. When I think about the location, access, I would think that the access may or may not be as limited for multifamily or business park. I would think business park would have an interest to have access to Highway 75, more so than multifamily. So I just was trying to wrap my head around it. I don't have a recommendation to change it, I'm just
Sure.
curious.
I think Mr. Kevin Jordan, am I saying anything right? I feel like I've had too many stressful days, Kevin, with Black Gold.
Mm-hmm.
He did all that business park, and it's mostly like man caves and things like that. So in my mind, when I think, like he said, kind of set the precedence in my mind. Usually we would think business campus,
Yeah.
like that's
Okay.
ideally what a business park is, like a State Farm campus or something like
Yes.
that. But it could be man caves.
I mean, listen to that, it seems like a good location for a business park. Just trying to understand it more.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else?
It could be a farmer.
It could be a
Yeah,
farmer's
could've been.
campus. I'm sorry, I live in East Tulsa and I drive by the State Farm all the time.
Anyone else? Does anyone in the audience wish to speak on behalf of this agenda item? Please come forward. Remember the 3-minute time rule. Give us your name and address.
Hi, I'm Jane Dunner. My address is 2320 West 92nd, Tulsa, and I live west of here. What does medium density single family mean?
I can read it to you.
I'm interested in 91st and Union, so where do they want to put the houses and where's the commercial park? And how many houses?
I think 91st and Union is 4 lots. So it's
4 houses?
Yeah.
And
It's
how many houses, or how many acres per house?
They had 10 acres. I think they're doing,
They're keeping it ag, right?
no, they're rezoning to residential estate. So I
Oh,
think it's like
gotcha.
1 or 2 acres. I can't remember exactly.
1 to 2 acres per house?
Yeah.
And where's the commercial part? Which,
Adjacent to Union.
what do you mean adjacent to, me running along
Yeah,
Union?
this is Union right here.
Okay, that's where the commercial is?
Yeah, it's gonna stay
Now,
next to it.
I understand they want to have chickens. Does that mean that they can have an industrial chicken farm?
No, they
They
cannot.
could not, okay. Okay, if you're saying, 1 to 2 acres, so I'm fine with that, but there's places in Jenks where it's 0.26 acres per lot, or per house, and our area doesn't perk very well. And
Right. That's why it hasn't sold for commercial development. There's a lot of infrastructure issues in that area. So I think this is a really great,
Yeah, if it's 1 to 2 acres, I'm fine
it's
with that.
probably, I don't remember exactly. They're asking for RE, and I think that you have to have a minimum of a half an acre. So it's probably about 1 acre per house.
So half acre is minimum?
Mhm.
I just have
Basically, it's
trouble
4
if it's gonna be like
homes.
0.26
No,
acres.
it's not high.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Just wanted to know if you could pull up the map. I'm Nick Falter, I live at 2921 West 120th Street. And I want to see if you could pull up the map on 121st and Highway 75. These two lots right here recently zoned commercial, right?
Correct.
And I wanted to know, this is my spot right here, why am I and my 5 neighbors in red all of a sudden?
It was already red since 2019.
Okay, that doesn't mean like I'm annexed
No.
or targeting or annexation or anything
No.
like that, so I can keep chickens, right?
Yeah.
How many?
You can have cows, goats, whatever
Whatever the
you
county
want.
says.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you have chickens now?
It's like, I'm not telling you.
I've got the makings for a really nice, like a chicken resort. Every one of them will be.
Okay. General services.
Right, it'll be low density population.
Well, good luck, 'cause all my neighbors have had chickens and they're all gone.
Oh, what happened?
The coyotes eat all of them.
Coyotes.
Coyotes.
That's what happens to
And the
us.
fox.
A guy behind me now has 3 dogs, and he's gonna get chickens again to try to.
Yeah,
Oh,
one
they're
of the
big
gun
dogs.
raiders told my neighbor across the street, if you've got a predator barreling in on them, you can get your shotgun and pop 'em.
Okay, anybody else in the audience wishing to
Legally.
speak on this agenda item?
Marcy, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Wait, it's still at the floor, so to the
Oh, I'm
public.
sorry, okay.
Anyone else?
Can I just ask a point of clarification on that 91st and Union? It's just, so is this Peyton's Corner right here?
Yes,
Yes.
it is. Yes.
And so all of this is the vet, right? And this is all included in that?
Yeah.
So I know that it was like 15 acres that just sold here,
Mm,
and that's the family members who
Yes.
want to live together.
Yeah, this is one parcel.
And they're not gonna live on Peyton's
no,
Corner.
no.
Because she's building over here, her house. And then this, what is this gonna be?
Who knows? We don't know.
So they
just-
bought that part on the,
No. This is
you're just
the,
zoning this.
no, it's not a zone. This is a land use anticipation. So if we had our best guess, and if we had all the infrastructure, and if someone had the right price, and if someone had the right money, then maybe it could be a great area for retail. We don't have the infrastructure, the prices are really high, and most people who live there want to continue living there, so that's why we're amending it to single family. It's just like a best guess guide.
So this doesn't have sewers or anything.
Right.
Couldn't figure
Okay.
out what they were talking about.
All
Yeah,
right, no
sorry.
problem. Anyone else? Okay, I'll close the floor, turn it back to the commissioners. Last questions or comments? Question, David?
Chickens, even though I grew up having some chickens, but, on 121st and 75, the 5 homes which you mentioned, should we at some point not have those homes in red, or should we change how they're designated on the
It
map?
scares me. I saw the map and I don't know.
That's kind of a question, I just,
Again, this is like if in our wildest dreams they decided they wanted to sell and it was the right price and the chickens had a new home, and then if they all left, then it would be a great place for retail. That's it. If all of those things ever came together, it would be great, but it probably won't. Although we have an advocate for that area. So.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Do I hear a motion?
Should we make a motion for all of them at once?
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're all.
So I'll make a go with this. So make a recommendation to approve PA 2220 through 2224-2.
Yep.
Very good.
Second.
Scott West?
Yes.
Leon Davis?
Yes.
Craig Bowman?
Yes.
Dave Randolph?
Yes.
Jeffrey Byer?
Yes.
John Brown? Yes. Chairman?
Yes. Okay, and other business, anything planning updates?
Thank you all again. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your support over these last 2 years. It has meant everything to me, and I do not say that lightly or insincerely. I truly appreciate it. The UDO was approved. It has a couple of edits. I am leaving town. I could barely catch my breath. Today is the first day I feel like I could actually breathe normal in 4 months. And so I'm leaving town tomorrow and will not be back until after Easter. So the final draft or the final adopted version will not be for a couple of weeks because there were a few edits and I still need to check the edits once they do the edits, blah, blah, blah. Council did remove blocks the blocks within 5th Street to 7th Street from the downtown core rezoning. That was it was a big deal for me because I believe that it would be hard to accomplish what we wanted. But I do think for this season and for everything that was going on, it was a good decision. We also, I think we brought it before you with the office as a use by right on the first floor. Had we already made that adjustment when we came? Because I can't remember. Everything will be because I can't remember.
I didn't think so, but it doesn't matter now.
It was right. I don't know if it was
had
or
to
not.
be retail on the first floor.
When we came in March, okay, so when we came, the last time we heard it, it was office was still not allowed. But the truth is there are a lot of good office uses, and when you have a building with an out-of-state owner who's not willing to invest in it, it would be better for an office use to be in there or a small boutique than, I mean, we'd like a boutique that did a lot of retail sales, but it's still better to have someone there with that daytime traffic because they're not going to spend $100,000 to retrofit the building for a restaurant or something like that. They don't own it. It's not going to be sold. So it seemed reasonable to make that adjustment. And then the other adjustment, which I think was very significant, was allowing them to build a single story only. These things were very hard for me. I felt like they were really important, and I know you all believed in it, but I also think that if I only have a little pot of money and it's my lot, I might only be able to build one story, and so I think that's fair, and it's okay. And I think that we can still get a beautiful downtown and still give people the ability to redevelop their property and do it in a really good way. So they worked on me hard. It was tough. And I think Carol.
Yep, I just want to let everyone know that I think I've been part of this planning commission since 2001, somewhere around there. But my renewal is coming up soon. And I'm going to choose this time to retire from being on the planning commission. It's like, I'm sorry, but it's been a long time sitting in here, and I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of growth and a lot of conversation and some interesting meetings and some quick meetings, and it's like, it's harder than I thought. But I'm going to retire so I can do my dog stuff. And with that, call for an adjournment. Do I hear a motion?
Before that, I just want to say thank you for all of your recent service. We really appreciate it. And Marseille, thank you for all your work on the UDO for myself and I think the entire commission. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
It's not gonna feel the same. We'll let you out. You both
Well,
do
she
better.
said she said I could stay until she found a replacement.
That's
so
right. I
maybe
told
I'll
her she
still
could
be here
stay
for a
until
while.
we get a replacement.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good night. Thank you.